it's Hattie from Hattie's Books. I'm doing this video as a little weekly reading update instead of doing weekly vlogs at the moment, as just trying to get into a general filming and editing routine at the moment. Last week, which this is for the 1st September to the 5th of September, I read 4 books which totaled 1,625 pages. And I'm technically 193 pages of Spark of the Divine by Louise Holland, and I'm very enjoying this. You'll get my total thoughts on this next week, because I should finish it this weekend, so it'll be in next week's little reading update. The first book that I ended up reading last week was Reckless by Elsie Silver. I love these books, and I'm so glad that people in JJ Reads Patreon suggested I picked Flawless up, because I have ran through this series like no other. But I'll read the blurb of this one to you all. Again, Theo Silver, rowdy bull rider, notorious ladies man, scorching hot trouble wrapped up in drool-worthy package. And he's looking at me like I might be his next meal. I'm almost free of my toxic marriage and have sworn off men entirely. So all I see when I look at Theo is temptation served up with a heaping side of heartbreak. The man is hard to trust and even harder to resist. Make that impossible, because Theo is persistent, and no matter how hard I try to freeze him out, he mounts my icy exterior and pulls apart all my defences. Then I spend the singular hottest night of my life with him. It was supposed to be a one-time thing, a secret, but that little plus sign is going to make this secret impossible to keep. And oh my god, was this book so gripping to read and so interesting. This is the 4th book in the Chestnut Spring series, if I did not mention that before. As soon as I started reading this, I did not want to put it down. I love the fact that it was duo POV, so you got to see it from the 2 main characters' point of view and what both thoughts they were thinking throughout the book, which made it even more interesting and intriguing to read about. Being in this world again, seeing the characters from previous books interact with these 2 previous characters was amazing. And with everything that happened with the character development, let alone the story and plot development, I was so happy for these characters at the end of this book. Partway through this book, I was fighting for them, of like, just stop, please. And I saw a character that I did also just want to tell to bugger off and leave them alone at one point. That's the polite version of what I was thinking when reading this for that character, but I absolutely love this storyline. Everything about this I loved, and she's definitely becoming one of my favourite authors. I don't think I told you how much I rated this. I rated this 5 stars and absolutely loved it, if you haven't have guessed. The second book I finished last week was Mist and Divide by N.E. Shortwell. I'm not going to go into too much detail for this, as I am doing a separate review video for it next week. I still technically do need to record, but what I am going to tell you that it is definitely another 5-star read. It's fantasy and it's got a very interesting magic system. So the third book I read last week was Shadow's Edge by Brent Weeks. This is the 2nd book in the Night Angel trilogy. I still love the author's writing style in this. It definitely kept me gripped to the story. And after the events of the 1st book and how that ended, I was so excited to pick this up to find out what else these characters are going to go through. Especially the main character, Kyla. That's how you pronounce it. That's how I pronounced it in my head anyway. Kyla had so much to go through after the event of the 1st book, and then coming into this book, everything was still, he didn't get a break. There was still so much going on with him in this book. A part of me wanted, like, can he have a break for a couple of chapters? But apparently not. With everything that occurred in this book, there were so many twists, there's so many turns, the plot changes, and the plot twists kept me gripped to the book to the point that I did not want to put this down. I did rate this 4 stars. I could see that there could be a little bit more improvement here and there, but it's still definitely going to be one of my going to very close to be a favourite series, depending on what the third book has in store for us. I'm unsure of what the third book is going to have in store, which is called Beyond the Shadows, because the ending of this book I loved it, but also it made me angry. So I'm hoping that the third book will deliver, which is on the shelf over there, so I'm looking over there. The fourth book that I read last week may have not been on my TBR this month, but after reading the fourth book in the series that I've also mentioned in this episode, I may have picked up Hopeless by Elsie Silver as well, which is the fifth book in the Chestnut Spring series. I had to. I wanted to finish the series, and I wanted another book that I wanted to read, which I was in a contemporary romance mood that day. Yes, I read this in a day. No, I'm going to admit it was less than a day. It was about 2 hours max. I really did not want to put this down. The blurb of this book says, Bo Eaton is the town prince, a handsome military hero with a tortured past. I'm the outcast bartender, a shy girl from the wrong side of the tracks. He's 35 and all man, I'm 22 and all virgin. He's also my fiancé. Correction, my fake fiancé. We start out as a bet. He doesn't believe that anyone holds my last name against me, so he offers me his to prove a point. It's a win-win. He gets a break from his concerned family's prying, and I get a chance to shed my family's reputation. He says all I have to do is wear his ring, follow his lead, and pretend I can't keep my hands off him in public. But it's what happens between us in private that blurs all those careful drawn lines. It's what transpires behind closed doors that doesn't feel like pretending at all. This engagement was supposed to be for show. This agreement has an end date. He once told me he'd never fall in love, and yet here I am, head over heels for my fake fiancé. I love this trope. I didn't know how I would the trope, because this is obviously the first time I've read this sort of trope, and I absolutely loved it. Seeing how their feelings for each other developed into a point where one of the characters were like, what do I do at this point, was so gripping. And there were so many twists and turns in here where you just wanted to scream when there was a bit of an issue between them and they didn't want to talk. And that's me, didn't want to talk to each other, you just wanted to pull them back together because of how great their relationship was. I keep chopping my hands are going. I rated this again 5 stars. I think I've only had 1 4-star this week, and that was Shadow's Edge, but I'm happy with that this week. But I love these characters, and especially after finishing this book, I'm so excited to continue with reading more of her work, which I am happy as I did get Wild Love today arrive after winning a work quiz, so I'm very happy about that. So that's my little reading update for this week, and I'm hoping to get at least Spark of the Divine read next week, and Lady of Ashes, which also may have not been on my TBR for this month, but I'm gonna pick it up. I need to pick it up, especially as now I have book 3, book 4, book 5 physically. I want to get them read, so they're not technically on TBR, they're just on my shelves as achievements that I've read. But anyhow, I hope you all had a good first week of December with your reading or any of the goals you had. Hope you've had a good day when you watch this. Bye!